everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel.
This time we're covering the 2009 film, Night at the Museum. You remember that movie?
Yes, we've seen it many, many times, and finally we are doing a podcast on it.
Yes.
So Ben Stiller, the hilarious Ben Stiller, stars in this wonderfully creative film about a recently hired security for a museum who discovers its biggest secret. Everything in it comes to life at night.
Yes, and before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell on future podcasts and multi-pause videos.
Absolutely. We own it, yay. We didn't get number 2 or number 3, but now with what's happening with the studios and them not putting movies out,
Emerging,
I wish we had gotten 2 and 3, but we got 1.
Yes. So, really think about the concept itself. It was something really unique at the time when people were coming up with unique concepts and ideas. Mm-hmm. And I guess for the sequels, it started to become like a little less exciting because they started making it look like it wasn't anything big. If, put the tablet in other places and everything else comes to life. It was like, you don't want it to ruin the magic like the first one had. So out of all 3 or 4 now, the first one will always be the best. And if you like the other ones, that's perfectly fine. It just feels like the first one had the best charm to it.
You're right, because as you mentioned, it was something different. And I do remember when this movie came out at the theaters, shortly after, the museums actually began having sleepovers at the museum.
Yes.
Where the schools would, they would have the parents go with the children, and some of them, the children went without the parents, but they had chaperones, and you'd stay at the museum overnight,
right,
and get a tour. And I thought that was pretty neat. And
yeah,
too bad that they stopped doing it after the popularity of this wore off.
Yeah. And, you know, when you first see it, you're wondering, like, how do they do something like that? It's going to be something like Toy Story. Mm-hmm. And in a way, yes, but it's only at night. It doesn't happen whenever it wants and changing the rules later. It's something really specific. And just seeing what they do with each of the exhibits and what happens when they come to life. The T-Rex acting like a dog. The Huns chasing anybody.
Dum-dum.
Yeah, the big head want a gum. The explorers looking all over the museum like,
where's my gum?
Right? I'm not dumb. And the explorers going all over the museum like, you've been around here about a dozen times. You should know your way around. And it was a really brilliant idea that you wish they would come up more with now instead of just rebooting the same ideas.
Absolutely. You had some big names at the time and some that were not big names yet but were up and coming. You had Robin Williams, you had Owen Wilson, who for some reason on the DVD doesn't get a credit at the end.
Yeah,
his name doesn't appear anywhere.
Right, we thought it was a mistake or something. It was a very odd thing to see.
And you had, her last name is Gugino, from the Spy Family movies, the one who played the mom.
Yeah, you're right.
And you had a young, up-and-coming Rami Malek, who now is an Oscar winner.
Yes.
In this movie playing Ra.
Yes. And as you watch it, it's also fun to see how he gets adjusted to the museum. At first he doesn't even want to do it anymore because it looks like it's like suicide mission, and then he has to learn his own way how to handle everything on his own because he's the only one there that knows about it.
And you had the storyline where he was divorced and he and his wife, who's remarried, share custody of a son.
Right.
And basically the movie sets up that he can't keep a job, and that if he doesn't get a job where he can stay at the job, he's going to either have to move, and she won't allow him to have the son come and visit because he doesn't have a stable job or a stable place to live. Mm-hmm. So I guess during that time that was something that was a common story.
Yeah, true.
And as you mentioned, he got this job at this museum, and the museum, not the owner, he was the, I just said the head of the museum.
The keeper or something, yeah.
He had Ricky Gervais,
yes,
who was hilarious in this role.
Yes.
You don't know at first, the first time you watch it, you don't realize he knew what was going on. Because at the end, his reaction wasn't like, oh my gosh, this happened, this is unbelievable. He was just upset that there was evidence of the things outside the museum, and he kept firing him. But you don't realize until after you watch the movie, you're like, wait a minute, he wasn't surprised at what happened. Something's going on.
Yeah.
So he was brilliant in that role.
Yes, absolutely. And especially with his lines where he tells them something, you only think it funny, and so on and so on. By the time he's finished, you don't know what he said. He just kind of stares at him.
And then you have a staff of 3 men who are legendary old Hollywood stars playing the night watchmen who are being replaced. You had Dick Van Dyke, you had Mickey Rooney, and you had a third actor who I'm so sorry I don't recall his name. I've only seen him in a couple of movies, so forgive me. If you know his name, let us know in the comments below. But they were absolutely hilarious as the trio.
Yes.
Who he thought were just these elderly men who were retired and just retiring so they could go and live life and relax. And then you find out later that they're just not some grumpy old men.
Right.
They've been using and accessing something in the museum in order to gain youth and vigor.
Right. And for here, they explain that the museum comes to life because of an Egyptian tablet that's powered. And
I was going to tell, but I guess 2009 they already know.
Oh, no, I'm just telling the museum work, not that. Oh. And when they turn a certain dial on it or something, that it releases the magic and everything comes to life. And if you remove it, then everything stays as is. But the people and the exhibits within it have memories and everything, so they've been there for years. They don't age or anything, so they stay around a lot, and they just kind of wait and see what happens every night. And sometimes they can see things in the day even though they can't move. And it's pretty funny that they managed to do it this long. They haven't thought about leaving for a little bit and then coming back.
Well, some of them have. They lock the windows and the doors and things so they can't escape, because if they get outside and sunlight hits them, they turn to dust.
Right.
But yeah, they have thought about it, because you remember the caveman who saw fire actually went out the window that was deliberately left open by someone. So yeah, they thought about it, but they made sure that they couldn't escape, especially that little capuchin monkey.
Right, who was just a little troublemaker, slapping him and everything, is like ticking him off.
This movie was brilliant. From beginning to end, it was perfection. I don't think there's anything they could have done better with this first movie. Right. The casting was spot on. The acting performances were brilliant. The museum itself, the way it was arranged, the exhibits they decided to have in it, it was just wonderful from beginning to end. And Ben Stiller has these wonderful ideas when he comes out with these movies. 99% of the time, they're not concepts you've seen done in movies before.
Right.
And I think that's what makes his movies, stand out and just one of a kind. And this just didn't fail to amaze me either.
And like you said, it was such a huge hit for a long time, which is why they wanted to do some sequels. And you understand, it's like, okay, what other adventures and things can you do with this concept? Okay, next one, Smithsonian comes to life. Okay, and you get there and it's like, okay, it's those things come to life, and it's really specific if you live where the Smithsonian is, then, and if you don't, then you kind of don't get the references. They kind of leave it more of the European viewers would understand if the American ones didn't, unless you visited. Then the third one was I think the thing was losing its magic. I believe that was the...
Was it the Smithsonian or the British Museum?
It was...
The Smithsonian is actually in New York.
Oh, okay. I kept thinking it was in the UK. I'm sorry. It was Smithsonian. You're right, because it's Battle at the Smithsonian in the title. And then the third one, the title escapes me, and I think a lot of people don't know there was a third one.
Museum 3!
Right, right, and that one was about the thing losing its magic, and they wouldn't be able to come alive at night anymore. They had to replenish it. Then, decades later, they came out with a fourth one, animated on Disney Plus.
Museum 4.
Right, and it was the rise of somebody. It was the Egyptian villain, and I think that was like popular for the time because people really loved the movie, and they thought, hey, them doing it animated, they can do way more than live action. But here's the problem with it. This is one of the few ideas that works in live action better than animation. Animation, you can do whatever you want. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is unfeasible in animation. But in live action, it felt like you were immersed in, like you could go there and wait for these things to come to life. It felt more in touch. Live action, animation, they can do whatever they want, go willy-nilly and do things they could never possibly do in live action. So that kind of changes the feel of it altogether when you're changing the medium. So I think they should have just left it live action and maybe stop with the trilogy, because it was a really unique idea, unique trilogy, and it's like you can't mess with perfection.
Now, have any of you out there seen movies 2, 3, or the 4th animated movie? Let us know in the comments below. Do you agree with our take, or do you think differently? We really like to know what you think.
And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos on your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Well, if you've seen Night at the Museum as well, let us know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't, it's been a long time and you really need to watch it by now. I don't think you'll be disappointed because it was a 2009 movie.
Right.
I think you will still be amazed at how well it's done in the acting and the performances.
Right.
Some of the actors have passed, and that might be the only thing that you'll think about when you watch it. But if you can put that aside and just enjoy the movie for what it is, like a capsule, a time capsule, you really will enjoy it if you haven't seen it.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Ask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.